Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. The translation of that message, it reads like this: "Hello my brother, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity?" Well, my brother, I have my own story that I want to share with you. So this story of mine, it happened a very long time ago. So just like last month, I was even laughing at myself because I have recently turned 58, and when I lost my wife, my first wife, the only woman that I have ever gotten married to, at that time I was only 23 years old. So I was like laughing at myself when I was looking at my age, and I said, it has been a very long time. And all this while, my brother, I have been performing these rituals, and I have to keep on performing these rituals if I want to keep on living. Well, what happened at that time was that when I was still very young at that time, it started when I was around about 22 years, and my wife, I lost her when I was 23 years old, when she was carrying our second child. That was when she passed away. We were really poor, me and my wife. We were so poor, you could actually feel sorry for me, and there was no hope in my life at all. There was no hope whatsoever. So I then started going around, and I said, let me try to find someone or something that can assist me, because at that time I was always selling at the taxi rank, and I was just selling your regular stuff at the taxi rank. I then said, let me find someone or something that can assist me so that I can make some money, because there was too much competition. So I then went to this other old lady. When I went to that old lady, she asked me what exactly I was looking for. I said luck, and she said, the first thing that you tell me is the thing that I am going to do for you. So immediately when I said I want luck, she said, well, if you want luck, I am going to give you luck. The way that she gave me luck, she gave me this other small bucket. It was just a small 10-liter bucket, like those old plastic buckets that are very strong. I still have that plastic bucket in my house so many years later. I am still having it. It is quite strong. The plastic is almost unbreakable. So this lady, she gave me that bucket, and she said that I want you to urinate in this bucket until you have filled up this bucket. I said, where am I going to keep this? Because me and my wife, we were staying in a high density area, and one thing about the high density areas, there is no secret. Anything that you do, there is someone that will be watching you. I then spoke with her, and I said, you know where I am staying, there is no way I can keep this thing safe. Then that lady said, okay, that is fine. I'm going to give you this option. You can leave this bucket here, but if you leave this bucket here, then there are some things that you are going to do for me. I said, what is it that you want me to do for you? She then said that, well, you know me, these charms that I am using, there is some charms that I also got from Malawi. So these charms, they have been struggling, they have been making me to struggle a lot. I have tried to throw these charms away, but the problem with these charms is that for them to be thrown away, they refuse. I need to give someone these charms, and I have to tell the person the truth about these charms. And all of my customers, the ones that I have spoken with, they have all refused. They do not want me to give them these charms. I said, what are the rules of these charms? That was when that lady said that you have to sleep with a lot of women, and when you are sleeping with this lot of women, then there is a snake that will come to you. Then this snake will harvest your sperms. So I said, well, that is easy. What am I going to be getting? Then that lady, when she was still alive, she said, then you know that you are going to be my son. And once you are my son, the son of this shrine, you are never going to suffer for the rest of your life. You are going to enjoy your life. And that is what I was looking for. So I then left that small bucket at her place. My brother, each and every day I would get into the taxi traveling from the CBD where I used to sell my roasted peanuts and some other stuff in Harare. Then I would go to that old lady's house. When I would go to her house in Melbourne, that is when I would go and urinate, just to travel to that traditional healer's house so that I can leave my urine in that bucket. After a couple of days, I had actually filled up that bucket of urine. That was when she said, you have to drink it up. I wanted to vomit when she said that you have to drink it up. And she said that in less than 3 days, you have to finish up all of this urine that is inside this bucket. So what I will do, my brother, is that each and every morning when I would leave my wife, I would then go to Melbourne first. Then she would pour at least 2 liters of my own urine. Then I will return with it back to the city. Throughout the day, I'll be drinking that urine. Later in the evening, I will return back to your house, to her house. She will pour more urine for me. Then I will drink. After 2 days, I had finished everything that was inside that small bucket. I then returned back to my place, and me and my wife, we then got our lucky break. We got our lucky break. This was after this other man at that same taxi rank where I was working. So he had this other taxi, here we call them combi. So this man, he then spoke with me and he said, for a very long time I have been watching you. I have seen that you do not want to progress in life. I then said, I do want to progress in life, but for you to progress in life, you need someone to put you on that progression bar, but there is no one who is willing to assist me. The man said, how about I give you this taxi? I said, but I do not have money to pay for this taxi. Then that man said, well, what we are going to do is that you are going to work for me for the whole year. I am going to be giving you money so that you can pay rent, and then you can buy some food for your wife. This was the perfect thing for me. I started driving that taxi without having any driver's license at all. After I had been given that taxi, then that traditional healer said, you must come here. So I drove to Melbourne. After I had knocked off, it was late at night because I used to knock off at somewhere around 10 p.m. When I went there, she then gave me a small lizards, those lizards that usually crawl around the houses. This was like the first time to see a very small lizard. She gave it to me. She then said that you have to keep it in a place whereby there is fresh blood at all the times. I said, what kind of blood? She then said that the lizard is going to show you the kind of blood that it wants. At that time, after she had made that lizard to speak, the lizard said that it wanted the blood of a chicken. I still remember that on that same night, there was this other friend of mine who was a security guard who used to work at this other farm along Chitungiza Road. I spoke with him and I said, can you try to get me a chicken? I then drove to Ivan's, and that security guard stole one chicken for me and gave me that chicken. And when I arrived back home, I then took this other clay pot that I had bought. I slaughtered that chicken when I was still in my taxi. After I had slaughtered, I then placed that lizard in that small clay pot, and the clay pot just disappeared. At that time, my wife, she was pregnant with our second child. Throughout the night, she started complaining, and she said that she was having severe cramps in her womb. Then we rushed to the hospital early morning. That was when she had a miscarriage. But the surprising thing was that when I went back during the visitation, that was when I was told that my wife had passed away. She had lost so much blood. And that is how I lost my wife. So over the years, I kept on doing that traditional healer some favors until she passed away. So after the passing away of my wife, I then continued with the job that the traditional healer had given me, and she was quite old at that time. This healer, she was even suffering from diabetes. Her legs were so swollen, and she died because of that diabetes. But when she was still alive, I kept on doing my duties. And then when she passed away, I returned back with those charms. I wanted to give those charms to her kids, but the kids, they said that they had already destroyed their mother's altar and shrine. So they said, you can go and throw them away somewhere. Unfortunately, over the years, I have failed to throw these charms anyway. And if there is anyone that is willing to get these charms from me, I am willing to throw away these charms to give that person the charms, but they are quite troublesome. They have finished off most of my relatives. So what I do is that to perform these rituals, there is this place that I have been renting this room for many, many years. The owner of that house himself, he has his own goblins as well. So he knows that this is what I am doing. Whenever I bring a young woman, he knows that it is time for me to perform my rituals. I use that room as my altar. And when I take this woman to that room, after making love to that woman, immediately I urinate in that small bucket that I would have carried from my house, that bucket that I was given by that traditional healer many, many years ago. After urinating, then I will see a snake. Then the snake will come and it will start leaking all of that fluid that will be all over my manhood. The effects that I have seen on these women that I have dated, it is the effects of them struggling to have children later on in their lives. There was this other young woman that I dated. This young woman, when I dated her, it was somewhere around 2015. She already had a boyfriend, and in that same year when I was dating her, she then got married. Since that year until now, she has not been able to conceive for her husband. And I know that at the moment when the snake will be leaking all of her fluid that she would have left on my manhood, this will even bring bad luck in her own life and my punishment on my side. For the money that I am making, I have to lose all of my relatives, and amongst my relatives, I was told that I am the one who is going to die last. When all of my relatives have passed away, then following year, I am the one who is going to die. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brothers, and we tried as much as we could to give you this translation.